Welcome to this Padel. Today we have a very special guest, Nalle Grinda, and I think some of you that are already in Padel, you know him. He's been number one in France for a very long time. He's also a player really well known in the US, also a business personality, and he's been evangelizing Padel in the US since the beginning. In fact, I think the first court that was built in Miami, he was one of the, let's say,
instigators,
pushers, and person that made it happen. So that's super important to me. And right now he's leading a project that's brilliant, has just started less than, let's say, a month, and is the club everybody's talking about, Downtown Club. But it's not just a club, it's a brand, it's a concept. And that's what we are going to talk about today. So welcome, Nalle.
Thank you, Rosa. Welcome. I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah, we're neighbors, in fact, right?
Exactly. I came walking.
Oh, good. And I want to ask you about your Padel experience, right? Because you're one of the, let's say, evangelists of Padel in the US.
Pioneers, yes. Well, I mean, my experience goes all the way down to 1984. That's when I started playing the first time. I was lucky to go on vacation. I was a kid. I was 8 years old with my parents to Acapulco. And we met, my parents met with the Corcueras amongst their circles of friends. And first they met in south of France. And Mr. Corcuera invited my father, said, hey, you should come over to Acapulco. And we followed, obviously, with the luggage, and that's how we got exposed to paddle on the first court ever built in Acapulco. So that was pretty unique at the time. It was more of a fun fact. You know, it was nothing big. It was not a big deal. And fast forward a few years later, I mean, I played focused first on tennis, played a little bit on the tour, went to UCLA, and had some injuries with my shoulder. And when I came back, graduated from UCLA, I rediscovered paddle and saw what it had become, because all these years I was playing on vacation, mostly on courts with walls, cement walls. Yeah. And there was, by chance, there was an exhibition in Nice, south of France, where Juan Martín Díaz, Gabi Reca, Hernan Auguste, and Seba Nerone were playing, were the four top players at the time in the world. And now I see glass walls, I see players running out the doors, playing the ball through the legs and so on. And I'm like, what?
Like Mr. Corcuera didn't have this.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was totally different at the time. When I was playing, it was more playing tennis on a paddle court today. And then I saw those guys do all these things. I'm like, I gotta try this again. You know, I want to play this, and got really dedicated to it right away. In France, it was still in the beginning in 2001, 2002, but I was able to make the national team in 2002. Went to Mexico to play the best players and got my butt kicked, to say the least, at the beginning, and realized maybe there's something I should learn. And I was able to go to Buenos Aires with Nito Brea, train at his academy at El Monasterio. And that's where I learned really to play. And he literally attached me to the wall. He had a hook, because he had a cement wall. So he had a hook. I was not the first, with a string. And he attaches you, it's like a 1 meter string from the corner. And you say, okay, now you play, you don't move. And that's how you learn to play inside the corner. It was a big lesson, but from there on, I always started feeling comfortable on my defense. Played a few years, played in the French national team for 10 years. Number one in France for 5 consecutive years. Played as high as, and the FIP ranking got up to number 42. And then I moved to Miami. And then that was it for the paddle, because in Miami, in 2010, there was 0 courts, not one. Met with, luckily, I was able to connect very soon with a guy called Adrian Beltramino. And he had also the idea, he wanted to build a court. He was having the project already before met me, but I helped him. I brought in my network of friends. He was more towards the Latino community, and I was bringing more of the American, European community from Miami Beach. And that's how it started.
But that court was in North Miami, I think.
That court was, it was in Miami Gardens, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it was before Padel Life, before.
Yes, I've seen like pictures.
AB Padel.
And I think there was a hurricane that like swiped it.
No.
Right? Another one.
No.
Or?
So those courts you're talking about, those were courts that were built in Aventura, where Cañas Padel is.
That's it. Okay.
And those are Gustavo Roque's courts, and those were blown away by a hurricane. But Adrian's court were in next to Tootsie's. That's all I remember.
Funny.
It was in a hangar inside with no AC, and that's where it all started. And I got my friends from the beach came to visit me in south of France, and started playing there, and the rest is history. We built a court at Wayne Boycher's house, and then from there on, Wayne has a lot of friends, amazing celebrities, and so on, and it just built up like that.
So I think you were the one that introduced Wayne too into padel, which is something, I mean, interesting, because he's also developing padel.
He's big advocate of padel for sure, and I love what he's doing. He's definitely carrying the voice of padel out in the United States in particular, exposing a lot of people through his events, through a lot of things, and it's great. It's great for padel.
Yeah, it's amazing. So going back to your story, I think you also did the World Padel Tour here, which was a big milestone. Yeah,
that's one other thing that we did. It was actually exactly what you're saying. It's a milestone. So Wayne and I decided to. Hernan Auguste at the time was a director of the World Padel Tour, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, there's a big group that wants to build a World Padel Tour event in Miami. I'm giving you heads up because you guys are my friends and you guys have always done so much for Miami. So do you want to compete again?" And we said, for sure. There's no way no one comes in Miami and does this without us. So we set up a team, we built a project, and that's when we got the World Padel Tour event in February 2022 going. I think it was a great success, and that's why do I say it's a milestone for me, because that's the day I decided to really change my way of life and make my passion my job. So from that day I work in real estate. I built single family homes for last 14 years in the United States, in Miami in particular, around Miami, and I really decided to sell most of what I could. I'm not necessarily doing the best financial decision, but it is definitely a passionate decision, and created Padel X, thought about it, wrote some things, the concept, and then I met my partners today, Juan Pablo Leria and his group from Utopia from Chile, and they had the land that and I had the idea, I had the concept, the brand, and we decided to join forces, and here we are.
Okay, so what's Padel X?
Padel X is the addition of 30 plus years of experience of playing, I want to say, analyzing and visiting all the best clubs, facilities in the world. I was very lucky first to travel in general, but also specifically for padel. I played even in 2022 all the Grand Slams tournaments from the first year of Premier. I got back in shape. I built back my ranking to be able to play, get back in the top 200 to play all the quality of the Grand Slams, because I wanted to see it. It was so exciting to see the Premier Padel start with venues like Roland Garros, like the Foro Italico in Italy, and Acapulco, and so on. So I really got back in shape, played enough. Not that I would have gone into the top 100, but at least to play the qualies and to visit all these clubs. I went a lot to Sweden to visit the boom that was happening over there. And that's what Padel X is. Padel X is basically an addition of all those experiences, and what I would like, or what I want, what I would like, what I want to play in, what type of club I want to play in. So of course, I've been very picky all my life with the courts, the quality of the glasses, the quality of the grass, the lights, so on. When you play at a high level, you complain. You always want everything to be perfect, and this is really what I had in mind with Padel X. So first, you're asking about the concept. First is a paddle heaven, a heaven for paddle players about paddle. So it doesn't necessarily have the biggest amenities. It doesn't necessarily have a huge restaurant. It doesn't have these things. But if you come to Padel X, I hope that you will recognize that you're playing in the best possible outdoor, in this case. The first club is outdoors. The next club is indoors. But the best outdoor experience. I was meticulous on choosing the turf, the orientation of the courts, the quality of the glass is not coming from China, it's coming from Spain. Even the color of the structures, we didn't want to, we actually invented a color. We wanted to, and this is something that we've even trademarked with our partners at Mejorset, is that nobody else can have our color. Okay. We chose, we created this color and we wanted this to be our color. We're working something with the turf, even with Mondo, the Italian company. So all these things, and the lights, the same. The lights we created. We didn't buy lights out off the shelf. We created with a light engineer the best light experience. I'm 48 years old. I don't see that well anymore, and so you know what? I don't play at night, and I wanted to be able to play on a court where the lights are at the level, not too bright, but not too little, to be able to play. And I'm happy to say that I can play on my courts.
Oh, it's true, because when I play there, the orientation of the light never like blinds me. That happens sometimes. Like it's bright, I can see, but if I do like this, then it's like. So that's not that easy.
Those are details we wanted to care about. And then there's the flow. There's the floor plan that we designed. It's a mix between my habits with single family home building, and also my partner Juan Pablo is a big runs the biggest club, wellness club in South America, called Utopia, and I encourage you to take a look. It's mind blowing. He's won several awards for the best club and so on. So his hospitality sense is unique, and it's a mix of these experiences that brought what we created. And we put the clubhouse in the center. We tried to make a floor plan that was really thought about for events, and we saw it this weekend with the Red Paddle event. We had 350 people at once at the club, and it was everybody could see each other, but at the same time we were not on top of each other. So it worked well. We're really happy with that. And finally, some other specificities that we had to portray is our recycling program. We're very proud of that. It was something that from day one was mentioned with one of our other partners, Javi Gia, who really wanted us to have a recycling program to leave the least be the most green possible. So we're very proud of recycling 100% of our bottles. And we create with the plastic that we generate the benches, the clothing, the clothing line that we have for Padel X Miami, and then for the the partnership we have with Lacoste is also something that
I was going to ask you about that because I'm European and I was grown up wearing the typical polo, el piqué de Lacoste, and we are used to see them in tennis. But I think this is the first ever experience in paddle, right? Yeah,
absolutely. That's another thing. It was a long shot. But when I played in 2022 Roland Garros in paddle, I was thinking at the time already, hey, what can it be that's a bit out of the blue, out of the common I want to see, because if it's another. And here at the time, Wilson was a big brand that was wanted to really impose itself in the paddle market in the US, which makes a lot of sense, being a number one brand in the US. And I wanted to be different. And I was thinking, what would I see? And I had a short list of brands, and of course Lacoste was on top of it. And I used a couple connections to get to the CEO. And he liked it, obviously, because here we are. And at first he was not very aware of the difference even between paddle and pickle. He was like, oh, well, yeah, in the US, pickle. And I used an analogy that convinced him. It was basically, listen, in the world you need cars. They're all great cars. There's Toyotas and Ferraris, and they all take you from point A to point B. And Toyota is probably the number one selling car in the world. Well, Toyota is pickleball, and Ferrari is paddle. My friends from pickle are not going to like this, but that's how I pitched him. And I said, so Lacoste, what do you want to associate with? Do you want to associate with Ferrari, or do you want to associate with Toyota? And okay, let me think about it. And 2 days later, his team called me up and said, hey, okay, we got the green light, so let's make this work. And we even got the possibility of being co-branded. It's that was another thing that I was really happy about, because Lacoste doesn't co-brand with anyone. And here we are. We're kind of their little laboratory in the paddle world. They want me to come to the French to start share experience and talk and discuss about the future. So they invited us at the Miami Open to talk, and no, I think that, of course, I don't think we're not even a subject on the table in their meetings, but I think that they at least don't have anything to complain about. That we're not doing something that's up to their standards, and we are at least very happy. It's very successful. We sell a lot. We get a lot of compliments, and I have to restock the shoes every week almost. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, and you also have like the pro shop when people get there. So.
Yeah, we have the pro shop. We have a small touches. We were able to get, after the tennis tournament, a lot of small signs. We have some cushions. We have the nets that are made with the Lacoste brand. We even have a giant aluminum alligator or crocodile that we take out once in a while when we have some events.
That's cool, very cool. So going back to the concept and the idea, you've opened recently. Most of the days is full, and it's as you coming from real estate somehow. How do you pick the location? Like, how important is that? Because I think like right now it's premium space, also for the sun and the shadow, like, or also the wind. So it's not indoors, but it's our special outdoors.
Yeah, it's not indoors, but it's definitely one of the best. And I'm not gonna pretend that we did it on purpose, but it's we got very lucky. We have a big building next to us, and that's west of us. And after 2:30 p.m. every day, the whole club goes into the shade. So especially on a day like today, where I think it's 97 degrees in Miami, it makes a huge difference, because even in the morning today, I had some friends playing. I was lucky I was not playing, but I had some friends playing at 10:30 in the morning, and they were like suffering. And now, after 3 p.m., you can play outside in the shade. It protects also from the wind. So yes, sometimes it gets a bit windy, but the shade is there, and that makes a huge difference. And location, of course, I got very lucky. I I think my partners, they saw an opportunity. There was another paddle club that was planned at that place with people that were not successful, and that's the biggest challenge for paddle in the US is going to be this. It's going to be all the permitting, all the challengers to build the club. It took us, although I'm in the real estate business and so on, it took us 16 to 18 months to get this out. Basically, almost 2 years, and that's the difficulty. It's difficult, I think, especially at the beginning, because you got to convince a lot of people, the cities, the various inspections, the fire marshals, you name it, because they're a bit uneasy because you put people with glass, and that can be a risk. So there's a lot of calculations, a lot of lobbying, convincing, liability for the cities and so on. So it has been a hassle. It's been a trouble. I really hope that the worst is behind us. I'm talking for the whole paddle community, not for for ourselves.
The ecosystem itself,
Because, I mean, again, the more paddle clubs that open, and the more precedents we create, and the easier it should be for other clubs to open. I'm a strong believer that we need 1,000 courts in Miami.
I wish.
And until then, we're not in competition. We're building a base. We're building a base of players. We're creating awareness about the sport. And once the awareness is there, I know for a fact that it will never go away. Because, like I said, I've been in this for 30 plus years. I made studies. I've seen what has happened in 80 other countries in the world today. There's over 110 countries that play paddle, and there's 80 legit federations of 80 different countries. That makes it eligible for the Olympics. So there's no reason why this should not go the same way in the US. It's just a matter of reaching a critical mass for it to then be there and stay forever.
So this takes me to some points. One is, right now Pádel X has 10 cards. And as you said, like super special, like well-crafted, thinking about your ideal court is there. And you have two systems, right? Like you have a membership, and those who are members can use ones that I really like because it's the video thing. So how does it work right now? How is Pádel X working for someone that has never got into that? Like, I want to try. What do they have to do?
So the idea with Pádel X is to be very inclusive, not exclusive. We want to cater to every type of paddle player and client. You can come and pay to play with no membership, nothing. You just need to download the app, and it's very simple. And 3 clicks, you can book a court. You come and you play. The membership that we have is more for people who want to belong. They want to be part of the club. They want to participate in specific members events, and they want to get a little perks. They want to be able to book 14 days in advance. They want to hold 5 reservations at once in that period of time, because believe it or not, already today it's quasi impossible to reserve if you're not a member at 6 p.m. It's impossible because the members, they book 4 or 5, and when you're not a member, I remind you, it's only 3 days and you can only hold 2 reservations. And there's perks, like we're just installing tomorrow the cold plunges. So cool. The members will have access to the cold plunges for free. The non-members can still use them for a fee. And you get discounts on the premium courts and access to that video system that we created that is amazing, that we did with a French company called Spash. And that is for free, because basically you get to pay the regular price for the premium courts. So it makes it free. And that's the idea. That's the idea with the concept that you were mentioning. Also, I'm happy you're talking about this again, is that we're very technology oriented. We have this video system where on the 4 premium courts, we have 3 cameras that are filming you, to be able to trim or buzz the best points that you think you play. So there's 2 buttons, one on each side of the court, and you can buzz the button. So this way, at the end of the game, when you're done and you end your session and you have like 6, 7, 8 buzzes, well, there's a QR code that appears on the screen, and you just take a photo of the QR code, and you get to the Splash interface, and you can download all the points that you trimmed, but also all the match.
Oh,
so
great.
that's great. And then
for
with
social media, that's magic.
Exactly. And of course, the social media we have a format that is special for social media. And then we also have the lesson aspect of things, because we have 3 cameras, so it englobes completely one side. And if you're taking a lesson with the video, you're able to stand on that side and see yourself from 3 different angles. So you can actually really see what you do on both sides, and you can get a report with basically the directions of what you're doing correct and mostly what you're doing wrong, to be able to ameliorate and come back, a few weeks later and see how you evolve. Yes,
that's super interesting.
Yeah, and then the last thing that really makes our DNA is something that particularly I really try to push, is the training, the specific training method we set up called Level Up.
Okay.
At Padel X, we have a training method where our coaches and myself, we've come up with a structure where it doesn't matter what level you are when you come in, but through our training method, Level Up, you have 24 lessons per level that are specially designed for you to never do the same lesson twice.
Okay.
So it's critical because it allows you to have a path, and you feel like you're going through a program. It's not like, you're just taking a lesson and you're hitting every time the same ball and you're doing the same drills and, one day you're doing it at the net, one day, no. We have tailor-made lessons depending on what your level is, whether it's beginner, intermediate, or advanced. You follow a course to get to the next level. And that allows you to see the progression, not get bored, and also, of course, get better.
Yeah, and you have a reference or where you
exactly.
are in your learning.
And when we're opening 2 other clubs this year. I mean, this year in 24, in Boca Raton and Palm Beach, and that's going to be important too, because each client has his own file. And let's say you go on your weekend to Palm Beach and you still want to take some paddle lessons there. Well, the pro over there will right away see in the system and see, Alan Smith is intermediate number 13.
Okay.
And I know exactly what I'm going to make him work. So he actually follows his course. I'm going to do lesson number 14. Okay. And he knows that he's going to work on, it can be bandeja, it can be backhand off the glass, volleys, and finish with some serves and points. And it's like this all the way. So the whole academy can be spread over all the clubs.
Yeah, you have a clear methodology, which
yes.
I think is important. And this takes me to who are the coaches? Because there's one that I know who is Charlie Moon, right? Like some person that everybody likes and charismatic.
The famous Charlie Moon.
Yeah. So who are the coaches, and how are you building your, let's say, professors or your team of coaches?
So, you mentioned Charlie Moon. He's one of our pros today. We also have Simon Castello, who comes from Spain and who has a different, and they complete each other very well. Today we only have 2 coaches. We have 2 other ones coming in 2 weeks. They're already signed and done and ready to go, and they're going to be very complementary to the team. I didn't want to do too much quantity. Yeah. It's more about quality. I don't want to have 10 coaches fighting against each other and trying to steal customers from each other. And these coaches are very complementary. Charlie is still an international player. He's the number 1 player for Ecuador. He's still highly ranked in the FIP rankings, and he brings a lot of his good vibe, good energy. And Simon is a different character. He's more academic and very professional. He has a lot of experience of coaching. He's 15 years. I found him in Bali, out of all places. Yes, and he made the move. He came on board right away. I was very impressed. Moved with his wife, and here they are. And I'm very happy with the 2 coaches that we have today, and I'm very excited also about the 2 next coaches that are coming in. They're going to bring another different aspect, and they're going to be all very complementary. The idea is to have really between 3 and 4 coaches per club, and not build too much more.
So the other clubs are going to be indoor, outdoor, or it depends?
So it depends.
How it works? Let's say I want to have a Padel X club. How does it work?
Well, that's a different question. If you want to have because today there's 2 questions in that one question, and that's something that we have the objective of building unlimited numbers of Padel X clubs. We will not be able to build all of them ourselves, and this is why we had a plan for as soon as 2026 start either franchising or partnering. But the pressure is so strong. We already have today a lot of demand, and this pressure is strong to build clubs in other cities. And but only if we want to do things right, it's very difficult to spread out so fast. And so the way we are now making a business move is to look for local partners, not franchising. We don't even pretend to have the capacity of doing a franchising today, because we just started. We opened, like you said, 1 month ago. I mean, who are we to say, oh well, here's a book, go ahead and open like
hype, right? Like
but the hype is there, and we really very confident that we know what we're doing, but it's not set in stone. We have a great idea, we have a great vision, but we're still daily, continuously molding what the final product will be. And but we do totally consider taking local partners who would want to be real estate partners, or as active or not as they want to be, whether they want to be involved in the day-to-day, or just investor, or real estate holders, or so on. Because we have a lot of demand. We have many local partners in big cities like Washington, New York, LA, who are flying into Miami to see the Padel X concept because they heard about it, and that are considering, and we're talking to them right now. So that's one thing. And then of course what we bring to the table is our management, our design, and our training method. So it's a one-stop shop for somebody who is excited about paddle. Instead of starting their own thing from scratch, it's maybe sometimes easier and more interesting business-wise to partner up and build something with a concept that exists.
Yeah, you go faster, and like let's say, some mistakes can be avoided based on that experience, so you can do it faster. Talking about the business, how does it work? Not just the pricing, because I think there's a part that is community, also like hiring the right people. So you have a team that looks like they've been working together for a long time, but it's not.
No, it's true. Well, we hired some of them, and you have in any business. I'm not gonna. It's not only about paddle, but you have some key positions, and that you have to cater to specifically. And also, I think what matters is really the spirit in which the top or the beginner, the starting people are. And me and Juan Pablo, we really connected from day one. he actually, Juan Pablo, we met, and it was at a barbecue, and we talking, and after 15 minutes, he said, Nalle, you and I, we're going to be friends for life. We're going to do business together. I'm say, get out of here, who are you? No, basically, and it's amazing because yet here again, here we are, and we're super excited. I think we have a same passion for sure, but we have a very positive mind. We try to stay uber positive, even when we face problems. We have the same background. We're both European, same age group, I want to say, a similar background or business background as well. So we connected, and I think that from that, fate or life or call it whatever, brought us people or we attracted people that are in the same spirits. And as you mentioned, we have a club manager called Christelle that is French as well, and that she totally adheres to our motto, and she runs the club perfectly. And from her hiring her own team, because everybody has to do their tasks, same thing. I think that she built a team. We have several people that are very positive and welcoming. That's the idea, really, that I try to bring to the spirit, is to make a virtuous circle. I love to say that. Everything has to be a virtuous circle for everybody, and that's the way we build the concept at Padel X. It has to make sense, and has to be always a win-win situation for everyone, for the club and the client and the customers, for the pros and the club. A lot of clubs have issues with their pros because their interests are not aligned necessarily, because the pros want to work in the evenings but the clubs don't necessarily want, because they want to sell those at a premium. But this doesn't happen at Padel X. The way we built the concept at Padel X, the more activation we have on the courts, the better for everyone. So everybody's pushing in the same way. I can see it this weekend. My pros, they were not getting paid more or anything and so on, but they were all there pushing, making the best experience for people, because they know that if the club succeeds, if the tournament's a success, they will benefit from it the same way the club will. So that's really the spirit we've been building Padel X in, and it works.
So talking about the tournaments, I participated on the red paddle. It was my red paddle one, and I really like that. I have some friends that are doing that circuit, and last year they had a really good experience at the end of the year too, with the Copa America and all that. And I think it was, let's say, a big stress test after just opening a few weeks ago, doing such a big concentration of people. So now that it's just a few days after that, how was that?
Well, luckily, you're 100% correct, by the way, because not only did we only open April 1st, but that tournament was not supposed to be at Padel X. It was supposed to be in Fort Lauderdale. And just one day, Charles from Padel said, hey, you know what? The club in Fort Lauderdale is not...
And my circuit has to...
Yeah, not really ready. And I think the first tournament was already canceled or postponed. And it wasn't looking good. And I said, hey, listen, I got my club. I know how to run a tournament. I was a tournament director of the Miami Padel Open in 22, which is a substantially bigger event. But it's some other challengers, but different, but still very similar in a way. Because
you had like 5 categories, men, 3 women.
Yeah.
So it's a big amount of play. Just those categories.
We had 100, and actually, when they came with the tournament, they say, we're capping it to 60 teams, but don't worry, we never got 60 teams. And I say, okay, well, I want to do more. I want to bring in more. And I say, well, let's get to 60 and then we see. And we started promoting the tournament 10 days before.
Yeah, you don't have that much time.
No, and we got up to 60 in 3 days. And then I'm like, Charles, listen, if that's okay, I want to push it to 70. And he said, oh, wow, okay, well, let's see. Yeah, I think we can handle the draws. We're going to create a new division and so on. And then 70, and I still had a bunch of friends that say, oh, I want to play. So and we ended up at 85, 83 teams, I think, because 2 pulled out. So 83 teams makes it the biggest tournament ever played on the U.S. soil,
okay.
you know?
But you weren't like tackling that happened. It was a consequence, right?
Yes, but you know, I this is where I'm happy that I had the experience I have, because I never panicked. I'm like, I always saw exactly what we're gonna do. I'm saying, hey, let's go order 100 chairs, not bleachers, because the chairs people can move around, taking them around, and so on. And you know, I had the umbrellas. I had everything pretty clear in my mind. And then the draw. You know, 30 years of playing, directing tournaments, it all felt good, honestly. Of course, I was dead on Sunday, and I had a commitment with Luis Estrada to play the Sunday night at Ultra tournament. Okay. And that was too much. So Monday, I shut off my phone. I went to the spa, and nobody.
Didn't exist. No Nalle for anybody.
Exactly. So I really felt terrible on Monday, but it's so exciting. Honestly, I love it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it better, and I'm gonna do it bigger.
Okay, so this weekend we're gonna have when this goes live, probably that has already happened, but a different kind of tournament with Blondish, which is more like a festival experience. Why is that? Because I think it's important to be not just competitive with paddle, but also adding some culture, some different kind of people that wanna build on top of paddle.
So this came around with, I mean, as often in life. It's circumstances. I met Viviane Blondish through a common friend a few months ago, mm-hmm. And she said she loved paddle, and she had this idea of bringing her. It's the same values again. You know, the energy that there is around paddle. She loves to hug people. She's very positive, and then she has this foundation.
Bye plastic, which
aligns
totally with.
We completely aligns with our recycling program, and so there were so many common ideas and grounds that say, oh, let's do this, and let's do this charity event. And I can play at the end, and we do this and that, and so that's how Big Hit Paddle was born. Mm-hmm. We're doing that event starting on Friday, the 17th of May, and we're finishing on the 19th. It's going to be a mix, like you said. I'm not going to say all the way to the festival, but it's going to be more of a paddle social tournament. Yes. You know, I don't think that. It's not about so much competing as, of course, everybody gets competitive when they get on the court, mm-hmm. but it's more about participating, hanging out. There's artists. We have a celebrity match with some super celebrities coming to play. On Sunday. We have Mr. Dripping, who's an amazing artist who's going to be performing, painting at the same time as the matches go on. And then we finish with a big party, you know, with the energy of Viviane of Blondish, and I'm really looking forward. It's you know, we never had a chance or time to have a proper opening for Padel X, mm-hmm. because since day one we've been swamped and full. That you know, I think this is going to be somewhat of a party and a launch exactly what it is, like an opening party.
100% deserved, like after all this one, so it's good. And also, you were talking about the classes being competitive. There's like different circuits, I would say, like Red Padel, USPA, or like maybe local leagues. Like, it's all about that. But Do you plan, for example, to do like a group of people, like a Padel X team or something like that? Is on the plan, or?
We're definitely gonna do a Padel X team of people are gonna want to compete for the club. My best memories, even in sports, has always been, even though tennis was an individual sport, my best memories were when I was playing college tennis at UCLA. I played team tennis in France, and I love the team concept. So for sure, we're gonna build a Padel X team, and more than that, we're gonna build a league. We started talking about it with the other clubs, and we definitely, if not this year, next year, should build a league where we play each other. We go to one club to another club, and we start building a club league against each other to compete, but also to have events. I mean, honestly, I have zero problem with no one in the paddle industry, and I'm looking forward to that. And they're all my friends, so I would love to go to reserve and play against the reserve guys, and then we can play at Ultra and Winwood, and I mean, these are all people that I've met from the start.
Yeah,
so
and I also feel like in paddle, everybody goes and visit, even if you feel you belong to place, or here so far has been more like a scarcity game. Now we're starting to have more cards, never enough, but more. But people are open to go and play anywhere in order to compete and be with friends and all that. So my question related to this is, how big do you think paddle can be, not just in Miami, like in the US? Where do you see it's going?
I think sky's the limit. I honestly don't see why not, because it's been like this everywhere. A, and B, and again, it's my point of view, but it's not only my point of view. It's actually a study. In 2006. I was at l'ESSEC. We were preparing a master's degree on emerging sports in France, and we were able to raise, I think it was 20,000 euros at the time, to build a temporary court on Place Masséna in Nice, which is the center of the town. Yeah. Okay, and why am I saying this? Because at the time, 2004, paddle in France was pretty much, if not even less than what paddle is in the US today. So it was the beginning of the beginning. And we had 2,000 people, 2,000, over 3 days, come and try the court and play in the balls and so on for 15, 20 minutes, whatever. The only condition was, please, at the end, you need to take 5 minutes and you need to answer a questionnaire of 4 or 5 pages. And the two questions that really hit my mind were that, first question, before today, did you ever play paddle? 97% no. 97%, not like
totally
60.
Pure onboarding.
Yeah. And to the next question, say, okay, now that you played, would you play again? 91% said yes. Wow. And it sounds stupid because it sounds like, oh, well, kind of almost obvious because you could, but it's not. It's not, because very few activities you have where the best publicity for the game is to play. You get addicted, and people get addicted, and it's not me saying it, it's 30 years of seeing it. Throughout the world, and in the US, I see it even now. I see it in Miami. There's not one day today, where, of course, I have my own club, but where I don't have somebody and say, "Oh my God, I started last night, I started last week, I started a month ago, and I'm addicted."
Yes.
So, this is why I don't see how it's gonna stop. Yeah. You see, because there's so many more people out there they need to get stung by the vaccine.
Yeah, no, it is. It's super dangerous because
Exactly.
once you try it,
the
no
virus.
back.
The virus.
It is.
It's the it's like a virus. So
we have to do a T-shirt or
a
something.
a positive virus.
Yes.
It's a positive virus.
Yeah, it's a movement somehow too, and I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your sister also plays.
Yeah,
like both. Like I've seen her in the national team.
As long as me, I have a photo of us when I was 8 and she was 6.
Yes.
So yeah, she's played as long as me. She hasn't played as much as me because she was not in. She lived in New York and in London, but before Padel appeared, so she's only really started playing seriously for the last couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but she does very well for a couple of years.
Yeah,
like, she's really good. My question is, how can we have more women playing, right? Because I think it's a challenge, not just like for you. I mean, it's not your responsibility, like worldwide. But I think some of the kids you've touched, like the methodology, like feeling welcome, onboarding. So
100%. Listen again. I'm not going to pretend I have the solution for everything, but I'm only going to be looking and analyzing what has happened before. Today in Spain, which is the most mature market, 53% of the players are women.
Yeah.
So it's a majority over men. So that's where the game goes. And the reason is simple. The reason is because of the essence of the game. It's a game where power is not the main factor. In tennis, you play tennis. If you're a more powerful guy than a less strong woman, well, you're going to overpower. In Padel, it's not the case because of the walls. So if you're, smart, if you're experienced, if you have technique, and you're a woman, you may play better than a man. And so, and even women between them, they prefer because, again, power is not about who's hitting the ball hardest. So that's where the paddle should go. But then at the same time, I observe what has happened in the other countries. And in France, we have the same problem. But as the market matures, the equality builds.
Okay.
And it's always, the reason I think maybe, men are easier to get out of their habits, to try new things, and then the women follow, kind of thing. I don't have the exact solution, but what I know is where we're going, and we're going to 50-50 parity for sure. There's no reason why it should be any different. But we do need it, and I encourage every single measure or to cater to the women, implicate women, and the kids.
Yeah.
The kids is the key, and right now we just started the kids club at Padel X, and we're doing on purpose. We're offering it for now. It hasn't taken yet, but we're offering a women's clinic at the same time. This way, if moms want to play on one side while the kids have fun on the other side, it can work for both. We really want to encourage these operations, these trials, because we need to diversify. There's definitely something we need to do in the US in particular, is to diversify the players, diversify the base, and create momentum in every sector, whether it's younger players, kids, women, men, older people. Yeah. It has to be for everybody, because that's what Padel is.
And it's healthy too.
Yes.
Talking about the kids, during Red Padel, there was a Spanish promise from Valencia, right? Ornella that came and played with Beta.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a surprise too during the tournament.
Yeah, I love Ornella. I've seen Ornella is Adrián Beltramino's and Nati's daughter, and I know her since she was born, and I'm very amazed to see the beautiful young lady she's become, She grew up a lot. She was playing a lot of tennis when she was little, and now she's converted totally to a paddle player. And I was blown away by the dedication, the maturity. Even though you forget she's only 10, and I think she's gonna go far, because with the parents she's got, first of all, she doesn't have a choice. The parents are super players. And second, but I could see it. She's dedicated. She's motivated. She already behaves like a professional player, and so I'm always gonna keep an eye for her, because I'm like I said, she's very sweet, because she even learns a little bit of French to be able to speak to me. So yeah, she's very cute.
Very sweet. Yeah, I like it. So before you leave, I would like to know what's next for Padel X. What can we expect from now until the end of the year? Which would be your goals?
So I can tell you what will happen, and then what I cannot tell you is what is in my mind, and what are the ideas we have. What we know for sure is that we have signed a second location in Boca Raton. That's going to be it's an indoor club with 8 courts. The plans are being finalized. The permits are being prepared. And that's going to be something that's going to open by the end of the year. So that's the critical path. Then we have a third place that is signed and already in preparation, a bit further down, because it's a bit more complicated up in Palm Beach. But we have a site with 7 courts. For now, they're outdoor. We're considering covering them, and then that's signed and that's in progress. Yeah. But then again, we have many ideas and projects. We're trying to build much more indoor courts. We're actually looking at building indoor courts here, and continue to really develop the concept, because what's going to differentiate us with the others when the market matures is going to be the academy, the training method, and the experience. We want to be also about lifestyle, and that's where I think that when you come play at Pádel X, you feel good. You have the bar that's central. You're trying to play. Of course, you feel good on the court, but you also feel good off the court, and we want to continue to develop this lifestyle component to the brand.
To me, what you've said is super important, having 2 locations in a place that are not traditionally Latinos or Spanish, because Miami is great. We're seeing more courts, and as you said, like even with 1,000 wouldn't be enough. But at the same time, I would like this country to embrace paddle. So that work and that duty of getting people in Palm Beach, in Boca Raton, in places where maybe they've never had exposure to this. So teaching them, making them fall in love, like getting the virus is, I think, more difficult, more challenging, but also like that's life. What's life about, right? Like more of the same.
I'm not too worried, because like I said, the timing's right. There is again, it's a pyramid. You're gonna open in Boca. You're right. In Miami, we were full day one, because there was a hype. People know the sport. People know me, and they wanted to. They were waiting at the door. Okay, and I had my base, and of course the top of the pyramid. And then in Boca, it's gonna be the same. In Boca, even though there's not as many courts or no courts, but there's already 10, 15 people I know that are going to build the base, and they're going to bring 5 or 6 people of their own, and those people are going to bring and so on and so forth, and it's going to build not as fast, but in a year I don't see the occupation being a problem. No.
Okay. So thank you, Nalle. It's been
my
pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
No, I really appreciate it. You are very close to us, but I've been willing to talk to you like this, and I really appreciate, because I think there are a lot of eyes out of Miami pointing out Padel X, what's this, especially after the last weekend. So I think you've shared a lot of knowledge with us, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.